Well, do you want to know where to live in South Virginia Beach? Well, that's what we're talking about today, and we're starting right now. Hey, my name is Sam Sansalone, and I'm a real estate agent in Hampton Roads, Virginia. Today we're talking about the south section of Virginia Beach and where to live in those areas if you are planning to move there. There are lots of different types of areas in the south section of Virginia Beach. What I'm going to do this time is talk about every single area all through, from the west side of the south to the south and the east side. And we're going to go into all the details about the houses, what it's like to live around in that area, shopping and cost of houses, and we'll do some drive-thrus, of course, as well. Now let's go to the southwestern part of Virginia Beach. Now look at the map, you'll see that it borders Norfolk and then parts of Chesapeake on the south side. And then it goes across Interstate 64 there, and that interstate takes you up all the way up to the peninsula, all the way down to South Chesapeake. It's got plenty of access to all the parts of the area, which is great. And I grew up in this area, so I love it. I'm used to it. I know all about it. And there's some great spots, some bleh spots, but there's some awesome neighborhoods and some good restaurants around here. We'll talk about all that. In the mid 80s, like half of this area was still kind of country. So they just started developing like half of this over the last 25, 35 years. The school districts, Kempsville and Tallwood for the most part, are in this area. More higher ranked than like in Bayside, for instance, but there are some that are probably ranked higher. But there are a lot of really great neighborhoods in here. I'll mention several. One of which is Lake James. Lake James is probably the premier, like I love this lake, the best spot for, I'd say, lake living under 550, 600,000. This is like right off of the main section in Kempsville, but like pristine houses. Love these houses. This is one of like an example of several really nice mature neighborhoods with like wide streets, big trees, just in places where people have lived for a long time because there's no reason to leave. They're awesome. The neighborhoods are awesome. Another one I'll mention is Salem Woods. Salem Woods is, I'd say, probably best bang for buck in almost the entire area for houses under 400,000. These are in the Salem School District, which is right to the east of the areas that we're talking about here. And then if you go just in this section down a little bit south too, you'll see Lake Christopher. Lake Christopher is similar to Lake James, right across the street from each other, really. And the difference with Lake Christopher is that you got some really weird houses in here. Like retro, kind of unique, almost like Frank Lloyd Wright style in some cases. You walk in and it just feels totally different. So if you like uniqueness, randomness, this is a good spot to check out. But the great stuff is you're close to all the interstates. It's 264 and 64. You can get to pretty much anywhere you need to without going super far. And some other neighborhoods I like. Oh my gosh, Fairfield, awesome. Bellamy Manor, great streets, great trees. Stratford Chase, a combination of both. Weird houses though. And a couple other ones I'll mention. Woodstock is great, Avalon, and Westview, which is where I grew up, a smaller neighborhood. But I'd say one of the best bang for buck neighborhoods in this area is Brigadoon. It has a mixture of brick ranches, two-story houses, but you've got the neighborhood, the trees, really cool vibe in Brigadoon, and again, for the price, you can get a lot of house for the money. And this whole area, one of the draws to this area too is you're really close to the Kempsville Rec Center. Why does that matter? It's an awesome rec center. It's one of several in Virginia Beach that, I mean, if you're a resident of Virginia Beach, just over $100, you can get access for a whole year, and you've got basketball courts. Some have tennis courts, a great gym, pool, indoor pool, weights, like basically everything you can think of for a rec center, and you can do it for just over $100 per person for a year. I'd say if there was a drawback to this area, it is again just that there are great neighborhoods, but there's not a whole lot of unique flair to it. I mean, you're coming here for the neighborhoods, the comfort, the great living, but it's just not a lot of real unique stuff here. If we're talking restaurants, there are a couple I'll mention. Back Bay Brewing is a newer brewery that's on Kempsville Road that's actually built in an old farmhouse. That's cool. Then the Mexican restaurant I want to mention is one that my wife and I and my parents have gone to for, I'd say, 15 years. Camino Real, awesome one. You've got some grocery stores here, Harris Teeter, Kroger. You've got plenty of, like, all your essentials will be met in and around this Kempsville area. Now I'll go directly south, the south central part of Virginia Beach. There's a lot of general neighborhood names we can call these parts of this area, but we'll start by talking about the town center area, which is like in this northern part, like right near downtown. This is like the downtown of Virginia Beach. Virginia Beach Boulevard has a lot of things on it. You've got the downtown area that was built in the last 20 years, but just north of that, you've got a mall, Pembroke Mall, which actually is, to me, the worst mall in Virginia Beach. You got J. Crew Mercantile, you got a lot of great like shoe stores, REI is across the street, other good restaurants too, so there's a lot of stuff in and around downtown. But then in downtown you've got more fine dining, you've got fine shopping, upscale stuff, so you've got everything right in downtown. Now just north of there's some neighborhoods that are like 300s price range, just over that, and you know, they're nothing fancy, just your basic, you know, brick ranch and two-story houses. But if you want something more affordable, this could be an option for you. And then south of that is one of my wife and I's favorite neighborhoods, is Larkspur. Larkspur is just south of, about 5 minutes away from downtown Virginia Beach. Great streets, big set-apart lots, brick ranches, two-story, but they're so awesome. People in here have been here for a long time, and you feel like you're kind of tucked away, but you're also really close to downtown. This is the general area where my wife and I live. We love it here. The restaurants I'd mentioned in downtown, Tupelo Honey is a great chain, but great fried chicken. There's Walmart, there's Target, there's Wegmans, my favorite grocery store in downtown. Then if you go down south, just next to Larkspur, you've got Mount Trashmore, which is the biggest, or one of the biggest parks in Virginia Beach. All kinds of stuff there. Well, the name kind of tells you a lot. It's a big mound of trash that was filled over with grass, and so you can go fly kites on the top of the hill, have a picnic, you can go run. I've run races at Mount Trashmore. It's really nice and a good meeting spot and places to do exercise. Now there's some drawbacks to the South Central area though. Like some of the areas surrounding where I've talked about are kind of bleh. I haven't mentioned them yet, but places like, you know, Green Run, kind of a weird neighborhood, like not a lot of character, kind of strange. In, you know, places around there, like off of Holland Road, Rosemont is another area that's also a little bit kind of funky. The houses aren't super interesting, and a lot of the strip malls are kind of run down and like built in the 70s. Just not a lot of character to a lot of these places. But the positive there is you're going to get some cheaper houses, like closer to 300 and under, if that matters to you. And other areas like Windsor Woods is just past, just east of Mount Trashmore. That's another area that's in that same price range. So you can temper your expectations in the houses that are in these price ranges. But again, if you're looking for something basic, nothing fancy, but like brick ranch, two-story, 300,000, 325, 275, you can get that in some of these areas south of town center, but you're not going to get too much more than that. You're just going to get the location and decent housing. But now going into other southern parts of this central area, I'll mention some good ones. Salem, Princess Anne, which we mentioned that word before, and some parts of Lynnhaven and Lansdowne. These areas, most of these are in pretty high demand areas, especially Salem, Princess Anne, Lansdowne. The houses we're talking about in here are the newer, like 90s, 2000s, you know, new construction in a lot of cases, and that kind of creates the demand, and the prices can go higher in this area, as well as for the school district reason too. So Salem and the sizes of houses can get bigger too, which is another reason why the houses are more expensive. And then if you go towards Lynnhaven, I want to talk about Lynnhaven for a second. Lynnhaven, first of all, that's where the jets start flying. You'll hear more jets fly in this area more than anything further west from here. And so some of these neighborhoods south of this Lynnhaven area are getting back to that basic 70s, 80s ranch style and two-story. Nothing really exciting there either, but you've got Lynnhaven Mall. Lynnhaven Mall is great. Biggest mall I'd say in the area, and still the nicest I'd say too. You might be getting cheaper houses over here. You might see them online as being a little bit cheaper, but the problem is that jet noise can get so loud. And so I would suggest, if you're going to be in this area, I would strongly suggest talking to neighbors to find out how strong the jet noise really is in the areas that you're interested in. Now another nice thing about that south central area of Virginia Beach is hitting that like button. If you do like my videos, smash that like button. It tells YouTube I'm doing a great job, and it spreads the word to other people like you who like my videos. And then there's also Princess Anne. Princess Anne is the area that if you talk to locals, they probably wouldn't be exactly sure what you mean by Princess Anne, because Princess Anne High School is on the northern part of the area. Princess Anne Road is on the southern part of the area, and that Princess Anne Road goes a long way. It stretches across east and west. But the biggest downside to all of these areas is as you get further south and southeast, the drive to interstates and drive to commutes to other areas can get long because you're not close to any large, thoroughfare. You've got to drive through lots of neighborhood streets, lots of lower speed limit streets, shopping areas, Walmarts. You got your big box Lowe's, Home Depot kind of places, Target. You're gonna have a lot of this stuff and pretty close access to a lot of these neighborhoods. And if I was gonna pick one restaurant in this whole area, South Central, El Pico de Oro, I may have mentioned in other videos, the bomb, Peruvian chicken. I did not know I liked Peruvian chicken until I went to this place. The awesomest. But if you go just further south of there, around the bend there, you see a neighborhood called Croatan. Croatan is like a neighborhood set on the beach, almost like Chick's Beach, but bigger houses, so to speak. It's a smaller area. But the neighborhood itself, there's some nice little neighborhood feels. But then if you get close to the beach, on Croatan Beach, but people, locals and tourists often do come to Croatan to go to the beach if they want something a little bit more secluded than going to the ocean front. Now going further south, now you'll see like some newer neighborhoods, like the last 20 years new, like Red Mill Commons is a shopping center near Red Mill. All these places are relatively new and it's becoming, it's a kind of a booming spot. There's a lot of high demand here because of the school districts. Ocean Lakes and Kellam are the two school districts here, but a lot of the floor plans in here are more open, a little bit more for the newer contemporary style that people are looking for. Price ranges can trend up 3s easily, but 4s, 5s, and then if you go over to the near the coast, it gets a little bit more expensive too. But these are definitely planned subdivisions, but some are just feel like real developed, like with trees and whatnot, but not all of them. Some of them, if you go for the cheaper options, you're gonna have closer, smaller lots. I'm just not a big fan of that. But you're close to shopping areas like Strawbridge, I mentioned Red Mill Commons, all the shopping you'll need in the same school district of Ocean Lakes. As you go further south, you'll see more new construction. You'll see kind of the line between city and country start forming, and you'll see, again, larger lots, more kind of bigger houses as you go further out into the country. That leads me to a couple spots I want to mention that are definitely worth talking about in this section, this southeastern corner. Sandbridge, which is, I'd say, the most resorty spot outside of the ocean front, but it's got a lot of seclusion and it feels like a destination getaway kind of neighborhood. If you go in there, you'll see all again, those houses on stilts, long, just a few streets, but they're long and they go up and down the ocean. So people love coming here for weeks on end, and they get the 6, 8, 10 bedroom houses, the big mansions with several families. So some people do live here, but a lot of them do rent and do it on a weekly basis in the summertime. The drawback here is there is one access in, one access out, which is Sandbridge Road, and if it does flood, which it can happen, it does block access and it's harder to get in and out. That's one thing to keep in mind there. But moving over into the southern part of Virginia Beach, next to Sandbridge sort of is Pungo in an area called Blackwater. This area is just expansive and straight up country. This is the definition of country if you're living in Virginia Beach. You've got well water, septic tank, lots of large farms, horses, the whole thing. This is what you're looking for if you're going to be looking for country. You got big houses, you got older style houses, you got a lot of new construction, you got everything here, but it's all spread out and it's it's the country. So if you want total rustic vibes, this is the answer for you. Drawbacks, it's far from pretty much anywhere else separate from Sandbridge and the southeastern parts of Virginia Beach. It's just far. Really better check the flooding here because there are some spots that don't drain very well. It can become a problem. Definitely check with neighbors that live nearby because one person's experience could be totally different than another person's experience. And the restaurant around here, the Bee and the Biscuit, a newer restaurant that is just the talk of the town, for goodness sakes. I've been there. It's really good. I'm not gonna lie. It's awesome. So now that's been a full review of the entire city, and I did this so you got a resource. Now if you have any more questions about moving to Virginia Beach, living in this area, you can always contact me. I've got my contact information in the description. I'll put it right down below, and you can click here for a couple other videos as well about living in Virginia Beach or the areas around Virginia Beach, and I will see you on the next video.